Chapter 3 The Story of Connemara Chamomile. Auntie was up to her knees in a vast sea of white on the edge of the far garden when Zoe got off the bus Wednesday. She dropped her backpack on the front porch and walked down to meet her aunt. Little orange butterflies lifted from the flowers in the grass, making Zoe smile. Auntie was busy filling her basket with tiny white daisies from a row of plants that stretched to the end of the garden. Zoe thought the cheerful yellow centers with their rays of delicate white petals would make perfect little fairy hats. Auntie stood up smiling. She held the half-filled basket to her face to breathe in the scent, then handed it to Zoe. She sniffed. She recognized the fragrance, but she couldn't think of why. Chamomile, said Auntie, solving the mystery. Like the tea? She bent and sniffed again. Yes, this is where chamomile tea comes from. The tea is made from the dried flowers. She reached down, popped another flower from its stem, and dropped it into a second basket. Chamomile is good medicine when you can't sleep. We're picking the flowers with the domed centers because they have the strongest flavor for tea. Zoe nodded and started picking. The small flowers didn't take up much room. It was going to take a long time to fill her basket. After they had picked for a time, Auntie stood up straight and rubbed her back. Have I told you the story of this plant? By now, Zoe was bored with picking and a little short-tempered. Yes, you already told me. It's chamomile. Chamomile is its name, not its story, she said. This isn't just any old chamomile. This chamomile traveled all the way from County Connemara in Ireland. I was traveling there with a dear friend, enjoying the beautiful countryside. We visited the coast one day, and I saw this strange, tall chamomile covered with the largest flowers I'd ever seen growing in the corner of a parking lot. I found seeds at a local plant nursery, and since they had gone through the proper health tests, I was able to bring them home. Auntie sighed and started humming in time to the gentle snap of the flower heads she picked. Well, Zoe wanted to hear more. What happened next? The rest is history. I planted the seeds in a protected area when I got home, and as you can see, they grew just fine. I watched their growth habits carefully for the first year to make sure that they didn't grow so well as to become invasive. But they happily died off in winter like true, well-behaved annuals. I've been saving their seeds and expanding this row ever since. Zoe gazed at the waving row of white and marveled at an idea of an entire row starting from a single packet of seeds. What seemed like an endless task of picking now took on new meaning as she imagined the seaside parking lot where this row had its humble beginnings. I love this plant, said Auntie. I call it Connemara chamomile because it reminds me of the wonderful time I spent in Ireland with my dear friend, where I first discovered it. Plants can be the keepers of your special memories. When I can't sleep at night, I make tea with these flowers, and soon I'm back to sleep, dreaming of hiking up the mountainside where we visited 3 gray Connemara ponies who came right up to us looking for treats. They blended into the rocky hillside so well that it looked like they had sprung from the stones themselves. She scooped a handful of blossoms from the basket and let them sift through her fingers. What a magical time that was. She turned and smiled at Zoe. And what a magical time I'm having right now, picking these same flowers with you. After we dry these, we'll make tea, and the scent will remind us of this beautiful day when we picked these flowers together. Zoe looked into her basket. Her hands had been busy while Auntie told her story, and the basket seemed to have filled itself. She wondered what it would be like to share such an adventure with a friend. She wondered what it would be like to even have a friend, and to see wild gray ponies. Was it fun? She asked. Hmm? Auntie dropped a handful of flowers into her basket. Was it fun? Being in Ireland with your friend? Don't you want to go back? Oh, I look back on that trip with so many fond memories. But that was a long time ago, and I don't fly on airplanes anymore. I'm glad I went to Ireland when I did. Why don't you fly on airplanes? Because it's a choice I can make to help the Earth. Air travel is hard on the planet. It burns a lot of petroleum and leaves a big, fat carbon footprint behind. I'm trying to leave little, lightweight footprints on the Earth whenever I can. Auntie, I've heard that before. Carbon footprint, but I don't really know what it means. Carbon is what is left in the atmosphere anytime we burn gasoline in our cars or jet fuel on a plane. Your footprint is measured by the amount of burning that you are personally responsible for. When you walk instead of drive or choose not to fly, you are reducing your carbon footprint because you're not burning anything. Do you think it makes a difference? I like to think that any small action helps the Earth, but it feels so hopeless sometimes. I know, I often feel the same way, but I do what I can. Then I come out to the garden, and it reminds me that our choices can make the future a better place. Today, we're making the choice to collect these flowers for tea instead of buying a plastic wrapped package of it from the store. It's a small choice, but when we dry these flowers and store them in a recycled jar, we can make tea that will leave a footprint no bigger than a fairy's toe. They finished picking and carried their baskets up the hill to the drying shed, where they spread the flowers on an old window screen to dry, preserving the taste of summer for the winter afternoons ahead. By the time her mom arrived, Zoe felt much better. She realized that making small choices for the earth, like drying flowers for tea, made her feel happy inside. She could make a difference.